world, there are so many people who want to take advantage of vulnerable people. Regardless of what you are wearing, where you are, once you don't give somebody power over your body, if you don't allow somebody into your personal space, or you don't allow somebody to have power over your body, that person has done wrong to you by exerting themselves over you. Hello everyone, you're welcome to Unfiltered Psyche once again. We're happy for the subscriptions and all the support you give us. Today we are talking about something sensitive, and I'll try to be as candid and tactful as I can be. So we are talking about sexual abuse and how it is that people who are sexually abused once get sexually abused multiple times, and also demystify some of the beliefs people have about these things. So according to CDC, based on a 2020 report, CDC is the Center for Disease Control, 50% of women get sexually abused or got sexually abused within that year of review, and 30% of men got sexually abused within that year. So that should give us an idea how prevalent sexual abuse is and how important it is that we talk about it. It's crucial that we talk about it because of what it does to the victims of this experience. So one of the things about sexual abuse is that anybody who is sexually abused goes through a particular kind of experience, and that could result in they being re-traumatized or being sexually abused again and again. So before a sexual abuse happens, or in the process of it happening, the person's sense of power, control, autonomy over their personal space and their time, their body is taken over by this perpetrator. So anybody who has been sexually abused has experienced this autonomy being taken away from them by this person who did that to them, and that is registered in their nervous system in a way. Now, we are highly wired by our nervous system. Our nervous system determines what we are afraid of, what we succumb to, what we get happy about. All of these things are registered within our nervous system. So somebody might see water in the pool and will be very, very happy to jump into it. Another person might see water in the pool and will suddenly begin to experience panic symptoms. And it's all because of how the nervous system has registered water in a pool, what it means for water to be in a pool, based on their experience with water in a pool. So largely what I'm saying is that when people experience sexual abuse, what happens is that as this person is perpetrating the act, the person takes over their personal space, the person takes over their body, the person takes over their will and fights them to do this to them. And once this happens, the nervous system registers it as they being weak or they being overpowered under certain circumstances. So if the person who did that to them was an authority figure, was maybe richer, wealthier, whatever dynamic that person carried along, it is going to be registered in the victim's nervous system. And the tendency for this victim to be, as it were, abused by other people with similar presentations or demographies is very high. So our nervous system is a very, very significant factor, or plays a very significant role in sexual abuse being perpetrated again and again. Now, if you've been sexually abused, this is my moment of telling you how much I respect you and honor you for going on and for dealing with this the best way you can. And I strongly recommend that if you've never had therapy, please do get therapy. And particularly if you notice that what I've just spoken about sometimes happens from time to time, where when you meet people who have similar traits with whoever did whatever to you, you sort of lose your sense of power and control over yourself. Now, the reason why people get sexually abused over and over again is the dynamic it takes. So if somebody is sexually abused and they are unable to confide in another person who might be an authority figure, this abuser is more likely to make the victim feel that they don't have power over themselves. And if the abuser is within the space of the victim, that person is going to leverage on the nervous breakdown or the nervous weakness of the victim and continue to take advantage of them. So that is one of the reasons. The other one is that anybody who comes around this person who has been abused, once the person is malicious in that way and wants to harm this person, if he or she is able to exert themselves in a certain way, the abuse is likely to happen again. So if you've been sexually abused, this is my advice to you. If you know anybody who's been sexually abused, you want to guard against sexual abuse, this is my advice to you. Now, recognize that anybody who sexually abuses you, or anybody who you know has sexually abused another person, doesn't have a right over the person's body. Okay, sometimes we hear the whole, it's because of what you were wearing, it's because of where you were at a certain point in time. Regardless of what you are wearing, where you are, once you don't give somebody power over your body, if you don't allow somebody into your personal space, or you don't allow somebody to have power over your body, that person has done wrong to you by exerting themselves over you. So don't succumb to the notions of maybe it's because you were this and because you were that, because you did this. Nothing justifies you being sexually abused. So don't condone that thought. It is not true, and you shouldn't allow it. That's the first one. Don't feel guilty for somebody's misdemeanor or somebody's wrong behavior. You cannot be blamed for someone's wrong behavior. No matter the circumstance, people must know that they cannot have power over you. They cannot take over your body if you don't allow them. So if that has been done to you, if you didn't allow the person and the person took power from you or took dominance over your body, it is that person's fault. It's never your fault, because you have a right to your body and nobody should take over your body when you haven't permitted them. So that's the first thing I want to tell anybody who has been through this. Now, to those who are so cultural and socially, sensitive, it is wrong for you to tell somebody who is being sexually abused that maybe they put themselves in a position to be sexually abused. Nobody does that. Our bodies are ours and our body must be respected. So don't say that to anybody who has been sexually abused. Don't plant it into their minds that it is their fault. It is never their fault to be sexually abused if they didn't permit the person to do that. Now, the reason why I'm emphasizing this is that sexual abuse continues when people feel guilty. When they feel it's their fault, they are unable to recognize that it's being done to them again is wrong. And there are so many predators in the world. There are so many people who want to take advantage of vulnerable people. And so once such a person gets into the space of somebody who has been sexually abused before, what the victim is likely to do is that, well, if this person took it away from me, it's okay if this other person also does it. After all, I've lost my power, I've lost my virginity, I've lost whatever it is. So whoever wants it can get it. And it's all because of what is planted into the mind and the nervous system of this person. So let's not make it look like a perpetrator or a predator under the circumstance is right for doing what he did. They are never right for doing what they do to their victims. So we are not going to condone that. And I want everyone to get that clearly. Now, the other reason why people get sexually abused over and over again is that sometimes when they are dealing with people who have similar traits to the abuser, they get weak. To make it simple, they replay the earlier experience because that's what our nervous system has registered. So if the person uses a harsh tone, the person speaks strongly to them, if the person tries to buy them, shower them with gifts and all of that, it sort of takes the nervous system back to that experience, which weakens them and makes them easy to be preyed upon again. So for people who have been sexually abused again, it is the similarity to the earlier abuser that makes them succumb to these people. And so again, my advice, if you have been sexually abused, work with a therapist, work with a psychologist, and unlearn your response to this abuser, to these predators. Unlearn that response so that you can own yourself, your voice, your body, and your space again, and so that you don't succumb or you don't fall prey to somebody with similar traits of an abuser. Now, the third one is that sometimes when people are sexually abused, particularly for those who haven't had the opportunity to share the experience with a professional and get needed help, sometimes it is the feeling of unworthiness, the feeling of shame. So someone comes into your life, and at the time where the person was possibly abused, there's this other person who comes in, tries to console them, talks to them, supports them, is there for them. And then if that person has predatory tendencies, that person might also become the next person who abused them. And it's all because sometimes, because this person has been there for them, talks to them when the abuse happened, if this person begins to make advances at this victim, the victim then feels like, oh, this person has been there, so they sort of compensate for what the person has done for them with a sexual act, and that is actually abuse. So if somebody has been there for you, if somebody was there when you were sexually abused, maybe you didn't tell the person, but the person used to talk to you, comfort you, you would cry, you didn't really tell the person what was going on, but the person was there for you until you're able to come out of it. It doesn't mean that the person has a right over your body. So when this person begins to make advances at you, don't allow them. Recognize that your body is yours and nobody has a right to it, including the person who was there for you. So own your body, and if you notice that this person who has been there for you when you were at your lowest is also making advances at you, it should tell you that this person can also perpetrate this act against you. So don't allow it. And then finally, you'll be told so many things, like if you report, I'll do this to you. All those threats, most of those threats are empty threats. The perpetrator is trying to make you feel that you don't have a right to your voice. And the truth is that if you confide in anybody, particularly if you go to a hospital and talk to a psychologist, they can help you overcome this person's power over you. So this is just a few nuggets for people who have been sexually abused. And to all parents of victims of sexual abuse, I just want you to know, stop telling your children it's their fault. It's not their fault. No matter what happened, no matter the circumstance under which it happened, once that child, that sister, that brother did not permit the abuser, it is never their fault. So don't make it look like it is their fault. It is never their fault. And to our law enforcement agencies, please, particularly the lawyers and the judges, when people go through sexual abuse and it's been happening over and over again, let's not make it look like this person wants it. This is why it happens. It's a nervous system response. It is totally out of the control of their conscious ability, and they need help. And so if it keeps happening, it doesn't mean that they want it. It is just because of the way their nervous system has been programmed because of the abuse, and they need help. So thank you all for watching Unfiltered Psyche. Again, this is a sensitive topic, and my respect to anybody who has been sexually abused. You can overcome this. Get the help that you need. Make sure that through that help, nobody does this to you again. Thank you very much, and God bless you.